So red was baseline with just putting the test pipes on compared to what you had before, and then blue is the tune after. So you went 332, 284. I mean, you picked up almost 13 wheel up top, and then a good amount in the mid-range as well too.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Good to see you on this rainy day in Greenville, South Carolina. If you've been following along, you know we've had a busy last couple of weeks, which is great. We got the car tuned, as you saw in my last video and in this opening clip. You may have an idea of what I want to talk about today. I've mentioned it to a couple of folks recently that I wanted to do kind of a follow-up video, kind of a review video on resonated test pipes, and this I think is a perfect opportunity to do just that. I want to talk a little bit about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to these resonated test pipes. So if you're coming to the point in which you want to do some of these modifications to your car, this might help set you on the right path or give you an idea of what to expect as you move forward. Not only that, I kind of want to give my perspective now after going through this process on, is a tune worth it for these cars, and what to expect with or without the tune, and things of that nature. So this will really just kind of be a talking video, but if you're curious to know my thoughts and opinions about this whole process and what to expect going through all of it, stick around. So let's just go ahead and talk right away about the good, maybe the surprising, what I was impressed with is in terms of installing these resonated test pipes. As you saw in that opening clip, we were after installing the resonated test pipes. Now granted, we have the 2¼ inch catback system installed as well, but with that being said, we were at 319 horsepower to the wheels and 271-ish foot-pounds of torque without the tune. So that was just after installing the test pipes and the catback system. That's like a 25 or 30 horsepower gain to the wheels. I'm considering that these cars fully stock dyno at like 285-ish or something, if you consider about 15% horsepower lost through the drivetrain. So that was pretty impressive. Again, someone might argue that the full catback system was the driving force behind those numbers, but I would suggest that because the catalytic converters are such a bottleneck and on the stock setup, that eliminating those and going with the resonated test pipes was probably what had the biggest impact overall in terms of horsepower and torque. So that's what I will say. If you're looking for true horsepower gains, the test pipes are the way to go. On the flip side, however, if you watch my previous video of the car actually on the dyno, the resonated test pipes, although they are resonated technically, are super loud. Some people enjoy that sound. I, for one, do not, and my wife hates it. So we got to do something different. But I would say that's the negative. The test pipes are just way too loud. Again, we don't have mufflers, and that I'm sure would make a huge difference. But if you're going for free-flowing exhaust, again, the resonated test pipes, although they are resonated, it doesn't do much. It's super loud, quite raspy. Take a look at the clip. In fact, I've told a couple of people so far that I don't really even like driving the car on the street right now. There's kind of a sweet spot between about 1800 and 2500 RPM where the car sounds great going down the road. It sounds amazing at idle. It has a nice deep rumble at idle. It's relatively quiet in the cabin. It just sounds good. And cruising on the interstate, it sounds fantastic as well. But there's a point there at about 2500 RPM up to the 4000, maybe 3500 range, where it's just really raspy and just obnoxiously loud. So we're going to remedy that, but that's just something to keep in mind if you're considering throwing these parts in your car. The real question is, though, is the tune worth it? And this is where this was a learning experience, in my opinion. And some people will say, have differing opinions, and I might even change my opinion after driving this car a bit more. And I'm going to talk in a later video about some of the specifics and how the car has reacted. Throttle response is definitely there. Because the car is so obnoxiously loud, I really haven't gotten to push it much on the street, just because I don't want to, like, it's seriously offensive. So I don't want, drive anyone else crazy. And also, it doesn't really sound that great, in my opinion. So I just haven't been getting on the throttle much. But let's talk about it. Is the tune worth it? So you saw my numbers in the past video. If you haven't, check it out. About 333 horsepower to the wheels, 281 foot-pounds of torque, consistently around that 277 foot-pounds of torque through the power band. So pretty pleased with the numbers overall, as I said. But considering the fact that with the exhaust and test pipes, which cost, I don't remember what I said, fully $400. I think that even includes the filters, $450, something like that. Got me 319 horsepower to the wheels and 271 foot-pounds of torque. So a difference of 12 to 14 horsepower, 12 to 14, no, just a few foot-pounds of torque if we're talking after tune numbers. So what it seems to me, as I think back on it and look at the whole experience, is basically paid several $100s to have a check engine light taken off, cleared, and what were we at? 271, and we went to 284 torque, and 319 to 333. So what's that? 14 horsepower. So I got 14 horsepower and a check engine light cleared is what I got for the tune for several $100s. Am I going to be able to tell a difference in the 14 horsepower and the 13 or so foot-pounds of torque? Possibly. Again, I haven't really pushed the car that much. Is it going to win or lose me races? I suppose it probably could. 14 foot-pounds of torque at 2,500 RPM will be beneficial getting off the line, I guess. Like, you could say that. But for as much as I'll be racing the car compared to how much I'll be driving the car on the street, I think it's negligible. So what's my overall opinion, to keep this video relatively short? I would say, and my opinion may change, and we'll do an update, like I said, as I drive the car a bit more and we get the exhaust tone figured out here in the next couple of days. My suggestion, if we're in this like a budget project for real and we really want to pay attention to the dollars and the cents that we spend, I would say make the little extra investment and get high flow cats. It's going to keep you street legal. Most likely won't throw a check engine light. So go with high flow cats and get your catback system squared away, and you should be in the, I would guess, 310 to 315 horsepower to the wheel range without a tune, and 270 or 260 to 270 foot-pounds of torque. That's what I'll say. Just throwing it out there. I think that's relatively reasonable, even if we're off by a couple percentage points. But nonetheless, I think those are good numbers. Keep your car very, very drivable, and fun to drive, sounding good, and you're not having to spend the $500, $600, $700 on a tune. With that being said, of course, if you want your car to be at its maximum performance for levels for what you have done to it, you want to get that extra throttle response and make more efficient power in terms of fuel and things like that. The tune is you have to decide if it's worth it, but it's going to get that for you. So it just depends on what you're looking for. If you want to, like I said, maximize performance and get that every ounce of power and every ounce of torque out of the engine that you can, the tune is definitely worth it. I would say Nick at Soho Motorsports is an excellent guy. Great response rate if you have any questions for him. Very eager to help. Seemingly enjoys what he does, so he takes care and takes pride in taking care of you. and there's a lot of value in that as well. So hopefully, if you're not in the Charlotte area, that there's a tuner similar to Nick in your area. But that's my 2 cents. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I'd definitely give you all the information that I can. And again, we'll do some follow-ups as we make adjustments here and there, and we actually get to test the car out. But for a rainy day here in Greenville, South Carolina, that's what I got for you. So thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll put some links in the description below to some of the parts that I have installed on the car. So if you're curious, you can check them out. Otherwise, thanks again. See you in the next video.